Hey guys, this is Allison from AllyKatkreations. How are you? Happy Father's Day to everybody who celebrates. Corpus Hermeticum. Before I begin, press that like button, please. Share and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And anybody who wants to support my work, and that's by getting a light bulb moment, a dot connected, an epiphany, a new book to read, please consider supporting my work. It'll help me continue doing this at the end of the month. Sorry guys, there's a lot of children playing outside. I most likely will lose the capability of having lights, internet, and a phone. I need help. So please consider supporting me as I am trying to figure this out and have been the last 7 months. So what happens when you live in communism? So last time we left off on part section, whatever you want to call it, 6. So we're going to do 7 and we'll see how long we can go for. His secret sermon in the Mount of Regeneration, profession of silence. In the general speeches, O Father, discoursing of the divinity, you spoke energetically. I'm not going to get that word out properly, guys. And did not clearly reveal your purpose, saying that no man can be saved before regeneration. And when I did humbly entreat you at the going up to the mountain, after you spoke to me, having a great desire to learn this argument of regeneration, because among all the rest, I am ignorant only of this, you told me you would teach me when I would estrange myself from the world, whereupon I made myself ready and have vindicated the understanding that is in me from the deceit of the world. Now then, correct my ignorance, and as you said, instruct me about regeneration, either by word of mouth or secretly, for I know not, O Trismegistus, and what substance or what seed or what womb a man is thus born. He replied, O son, this wisdom is to be understood in silence, and the seed is the true good. Tat replied, who sows it, O father, for I am utterly ignorant and doubtful. He replied, the will of God, O son. And what manner of man is he that is thus born? For in this point I am clean deprived of the essence of understanding. He replied, the Son of God will be another. God made the universe that in everything consists of all powers. Tat said, tell me a riddle, father, and do not speak as a father to a son. He replied, son, things of this kind are not taught, but are by God, when he pleases, brought to remembrance. Tat said, you speak of things strange or far-fetched and impossible, father, and therefore I will directly contradict them. He replied, will you test a stranger, son, to your father's kind? Tat said, do not envy me, father, or pardon me. I am your natural son. Discourse unto me the manner of regeneration. He replied, what shall I say, O my son? I have nothing to say more than this, that I see in myself a perfect sight made by the mercy of God, and I am gone out of myself into an immortal body, and now I am not now what I was before, but was begotten in mind. This thing is not taught, nor is it to be seen in this form element, for which the first compounded form was neglected by me, and that I am now separated from it, for I have both the touch and the measure of it, yet am I now estranged from them. You see, O son, with your eyes, but through you never look so steadfastly upon me, With the body and the bodily sight, you cannot see nor understand what I am now. Tat said, you have driven me, O Father, into no small fury and distraction of mind, for I do not see myself. He replied, I would, O son, that you also projected from your bodily form, like them that dream in their sleep. Tat said, then tell me this, who is the author and maker of regeneration? He replied, the child of God, one man by the will of God. Tat replied, O Father, you have put me to silence forever, and all my former thoughts have quite left and forsaken me, for I see the greatness and shape of things here below, and nothing but falsehood in them all. And so therefore this mortal form is daily changed and turned by time into increase or diminutude, as being falsehood. What therefore is true, O Trismegistus? He replied that, O my son, which is not troubled, nor bounded, nor colored, nor calculated, nor changed, that which is naked high, comprehensible only of itself, unalterable, intangible. Tat said, now I am mad indeed, O Father, for when I thought me to have been made a wise man by you, with these thoughts you have instead made me dumb. He replied, yet it is so as I say, O son, he that looks only upon that which is ascending, that which is descending, that which is moist as water, and that which blows or is subject to blast as air, how can he sensibly understand that which he is neither hard nor moist, nor tangible nor sublimes, seeing it is only understood in power and operation? But I beseech and pray to the mind, which alone can understand the generation which is in God. Tat said, then am I, O Father, utterly unable to do it. He replied, God forbid, son, rather draw God close to you and he will come. But willing, and it shall be done, quite the senses of the body, purging yourself from the unreasonable, brutish torments of matter. Tat asked, have I any tormentors in myself, Father? He replied, yeah, and those not a few, but many, and fearful ones. Tat said, I do not know them, Father. He replied, one torment, son, is ignorance, a second, sorrow, a third, intemperance, a fourth, conspicuousness, a fifth, injustice, a sixth, I can't get this out, guys. Covetousness, that's as best as I'm going to get. A seventh, deceit, an eighth, envy, a ninth, fraud, a 10th, wrath, an 11th, rashness, a 12th, maliciousness. They are the number 12, and under these many more, some which through the prison of the body do force, they inwardly place man to suffer sensibly. And then they do not suddenly or easily depart from him, that he has obtained mercy of God, and in this consistent both the manner and the reason of generation. For the rest, O son, hold your peace and praise God in silence. By the means the mercy of God will not cease or be wanting in us. Therefore rejoice, my son, for henceforth being purged by the powers of God to the knowledge of the truth. For the revelation of God is come to us, and when that came, all ignorance was cast out. The knowledge of joy is come unto us, and when that comes, sorrow shall fly away to them that are capable. I call unto joy the power of temperance, a power whose virtue is most sweet. Let us take her unto ourselves, O son, most willingly, for how at her coming will she put away intemperance? Now I call forth continence, the power which is over conspicuousness. This, O son, is the stable and firm foundation of justice. For see how without labor she can chase away injustice, and we are justified, O son, when injustice is away. The sixth virtue which comes into us I call communion, which is against covetousness. Certain words and when that is gone, I call truth, and when she comes, error and deceit depart. See, O God, see, O Son, how the good is fulfilled by the access of truth, for by this means envy is gone from us, for truth is accompanied with the good, together also with life and light. And there come no more any torment of darkness, but being overcome, they are fled away suddenly and with great anger. You have understood, O Son, the manner of regeneration, for upon the coming of these 10, the intellectual generation is perfected, and then it drives away the 12 vices. And we have seen in it the generation himself. Whoever therefore has of mercy obtained this generation, which is according to God, he is leaving all bodily senses, knows himself to consist of divine things, and rejoices being made by God stable and incorruptible. Tat said, O Father, I conceive and understand not by the sight of my eyes, but by the intellectual operation which is by the powers. I am in heaven, in earth, in the water, in the air. I am in living creatures and plants in the womb, everywhere. Yet tell me further this one thing. How are the torments of darkness, being in number 12, driven away and expelled by the 10 powers? What is the manner of it, Trismegistus? He replied, this tabernacle, O Son, consists of the zodiacal cycle, and this consisting of 12 numbers, the idea of one, but all formed nature emits various conjugations to the deceiving of mankind. And though they be different in themselves, yet are they united in practice, and they are also indeterminate. Therefore, with good reason do they make their departure, being driven away by the 10 powers, that is to say, by the dead. For the number 10, O Son, is the begetter of souls, and their life and light are united, where the number of unity is born of the Spirit. Therefore, according to reason, unity has a number of 10, and the number of 10 has thus unity. Tet said, O Father, I now see the universe and myself in the mind. He replied, this is regeneration, O Son, that we should not any longer fix our imagination upon this body, subject to the 3 dimensions, according to this speech, which we have now commented, that we may not at all cause chaos in the universe. Tet said, tell me, O Father, this body that consists of powers, shall it ever admit of dissolution? He replied, good works, O Son, and speak not things impossible, for by that you would sin, and the eye of your mind grow wicked. The sensible body of nature is far from the essential generation, for that is subject to dissolution, but this is not, and that is mortal. But this immortal, do you know now that you are born a God and the son of the one as I am? Tat said, how fain would I, O Father, hear that praise given by a hymn, which you stated that you heard from the powers when I was in the octonary. He replied, as Pymander said, by way of oracle to the octonary, you do well, O Son, to desire the solution of the tabernacle, for you are purified. Pymander, the mind of absolute power and authority, has delivered no more unto me than those that are written, knowing that of myself I can understand all things, and hear and understand what I wish. And he commanded me to do those things that are good, and therefore other powers that are in me sing. Tat said, I would hear you, O Father, and understand these things. He replied, be quiet, O Son, and now hearken to the harmonious blessing and thanksgiving, the hymn of regeneration, which I did not determine to have spoken of so plainly, but to you in due time. Wherefore this is not taught, but hid in silence. So then, O Son, while standing in the open air, worship, looking to the north wind, around the sunset, and to the south, when the sun rises, and now keep silent, Son. The secret song. Let all the nature of the world entertain the hearing of this hymn. Be open, O earth, and let all the treasure of the rain be opened. You trees, tremble not, for I will sing and praise the Lord of the creation and the all and the one. Be open, you heavens, you winds, stand still, and let the immortal circle of God receive these words. For I will sing and praise him that created all things, that fixed the earth and hung up the heavens, and commanded the sweet water to come out of the ocean into all the world inhabited and not inhabited, to the uses and nourishment of all beings, that commanded the fire to shine for every action, both gods and men. Let us all together give him blessing, who flies up upon the heavens, the creator of all nature. This is he that is the eye of the mind and will accept the praise of my powers. Oh, all the powers that are in me, praise the one and all. Sing together with my will, all you powers that are in me. O holy knowledge, being enlightened by you, I magnify the intelligible light and rejoice in the joy of the mind. All my powers sing praise with me, and now my countenance sing, praise my righteousness by me, praise that which is righteous. O communion which is in me, praise the all. By me, the truth sings praise to the truth, the good praises the good. O life, O light, from us unto you comes this praise and thanksgiving. I give thanks to you, O Father, the operation of my powers. I give thanks to you, O God, the power of my operations. By me the word sings praise to you. Receive by me this spoken sacrifice and words. The powers that are in me cry these things. They praise the all. They fulfill your will. Your will and counsel is formed unto you. O all, receive a spoken sacrifice from all things. O life, save all that is in us. O light, enlighten. O God, the spirit, for the mind nourishes the word. O spirit-bearing workman, you are God. Your servant cries these things unto you through by the fire, by the air, by the earth, by the water, by the spirit, by your creatures. From eternity, I have found blessing and praise for you, and I have what I seek, for I rest in your will. Tat said, O Father, I see you have sung this song of praise and blessing with your whole will, and therefore have I put in place in my world. He replied, say in your intelligible world, O son. Tat said, I do mean in my intelligible world, for by your hymn and song of praise, my mind is enlightened, and gladly would I spend from my understanding of thanksgiving to God. He said, not rashly, O son. Tat said, in my mind, O Father. He replied, those things that I see and contemplate, I infuse them into you, and therefore say, O son Tat, the author of your succeeding generations, I send unto God these spoken sacrifices. O God, you are the Father, you are the Lord, you are the mind. Accept these spoken sacrifices which you require of me, for things are done as the mind wills. You, O son, send this acceptable sacrifice to God, the Father of all things, but say it also, O son, by word. Tat replied, I thank you, O Father. You have advised and instructed me to give thanks and praise. He said, I am glad, O son, to see the truth bring forth the fruits of good things and such immortal branches. And learn this from me, above all other virtues, entertain silence, and impart unto no man, O son, the tradition of regeneration, lest we be reputed as troublemakers, for we both have now sufficiently meditated. I in speaking and you in listening, and now you do intellectually know yourself and our Father. That's profound. Next section, I have my co-host here. My co-host to left. The greatest evil in man is not knowing God. Where are you carried, O men, drunken with the wine of ignorance? When you see that you cannot hold it down, why did you vomit it up again? Stand and be sober and look up again with the eyes of your heart. And if you cannot all do so, yet do so as many as you can. For the malice of ignorance surrounds all the earth and corrupts the soul, shut up in the body, not suffering it to arrive at the heavens of salvation. Suffer not yourselves to be carried with the great stream, but stem the tide, you that can lay hold of the heaven of safety and make your full course towards it. Seek still what may lead you by the hand and conduct you to the door of truth and knowledge, where the clear light is that which is pure from darkness, where there is not one drunken, but all are sober, and in their heart look up to him, whose pleasure it is to be seen. For he cannot be heard with ears, nor seen with eyes, nor expressed in words, but only in mind and heart. But first you must tear to pieces and break through the garment that you wear, the web of ignorance, the foundation of all mischief, the shackles of corruption, the cloak of darkness, the living death, the corruptible corpse, the sepulchre carried about with us, the domestic thief, which is what he loves, us, hates us, envies us. Such is the hurtful apparel which you are now clothed, which draws and pulls you downward by its own self, lest looking upward and seeing the beauty of truth and the good that is reposed therein, you would hate the wickedness of this garment and understand the traps and ambushes which it had laid for you. Therefore it labors to make good those things that seem and are by the senses judged and determined, and the things that are not true it hides and veils in much matter, filling what is present unto you with hateful pleasure, that you may neither hear what you should hear, nor see what you should see. The next, a universal sermon to Asclepius. I think I got that right. I don't think I did. All that is moved, O Asclepius, is it not moved in something and by something? Asclepius replied, yes, indeed. Must not that in which a thing is moved and necessity be greater than the thing that is moved of necessity? And that which is motion, it is not stronger than that which is moved. It is stronger. That in which a thing is moved, must it not have a nature contrary to that of the thing that is moved? It must. Is not this great world a body for which there is no greater? Yes, confessedly. And is it not solid, as filled with many great bodies, and indeed with all the bodies that are? It is so. And is not the world a body, and a body that is caused to be in motion? It is. Then what a kind of place must it be, wherein it is moved? Of what nature? Must it not be much bigger, that it may receive the continuity of motion, unless by being moved should, but for what of a room, be constrained and hindered in the same motions? It must be an immense thing, Trismegistus, but of what nature? Of contrary nature, O Asclepius, but is not the nature of things intangible, contrary to a body? Confessedly. Therefore the place is intangible, but that which is intangible is either some divine thing or God himself, and by something divine. I do not mean that which was made or begotten. If therefore it be divine, it is an essence or substance. But if it be God, it is above essence, but he is otherwise intelligible. For the first, God is intelligible, not to himself, but to us. For that which is intelligible is subject to that which understands by the senses. Therefore, God is not intelligible to himself, for not being any other thing from that which is understood, he cannot be understood by himself. But he is another thing for us, and therefore he is understood by us. If therefore place be intelligible, it is not place but God. But if God be intelligible, he is intelligible not as place, but as a capable operation. Now everything that is moved not in or by that which moved, but in that which is fixed, and that which moves rests. For it is impossible it should be moved with it. He asked, how then, O Trismegistus, are those things that are here moved with the things that are themselves moved? For you said that the spheres that wander are moved by the sphere that is unmovable. That, O Asclepius, is not a moving together, but a counter motion, for they are not moved after a like manner, but contrary one to another, and contrariety forms a standing resistance of motion, for the resistance is a staying of motion. Therefore, the wandering spheres being moved contrarily to the sphere which is fixed, shall have one from another contrarily standing of itself. For this bear you see neither rises nor goes down, but turns away in its fixed course. Do you think it moves or stands still? I think it moves, Trismegistus. What motion, O Asclepius? A moment that is always carried about the same. But the circulation which is about the same and the motion about the same are both hidden by station. For that which is about the same forbids that which is above the same. If it resists that which is about the same. And so the contrary motion stands fast always, being always established by the contrary. But I will tell you the truth concerning this matter. An earthly example that may be seen with eyes. Look upon any of these living creatures upon earth as man, for example, and see him swimming. For as the water is carried one way, the movement of his feet and hands is made a station to the man resisting the water, that he should not be carried with the water, nor sink underneath it. This is a very clear example you speak of, Trismegistus. Therefore, every motion is in station and is moved of station. The motion then of the world and every material living thing is not to be done by those things that are without the world, but by those things within it, a soul, a spirit, or some other ethereal thing, to those things that are without it. For an inanimate body does not know, much less a body, if it is wholly inanimate. Asclepius asked, what do you mean, O Trismegistus? Wood and stones and all other inanimate things, are they not moving bodies? By no means, O Asclepius. For that within the body which moves the inanimate thing is not the body that moves, but both as well the body of that which bears it, as the body of that which is born. For one dead or inanimate thing cannot move another. That which moves must be alive to move. You see, therefore, how the soul is surcharged when it carries two bodies. And now it is manifest that the things that are moved in something and by something, the things that are moved, O Trismegistus, must needs be moved in that which is void. Be advised, O Asclepius, for all things that exist, there is nothing empty, only that which is utterly intangible, which is empty and a stranger to existence or being. But that which is could not be if it were not full of existence. Sorry, guys. For that which is in beginning or existence can never be made empty. Asclepius asked, are there not therefore some things that are empty, O Trismegistus, as an empty barrel, an empty pitcher, an empty paper, an empty winepress, and many such like? Oh, the grossness of your error! O Asclepius, those things that are most full and replenished, do you say they are void and empty? What do you mean, Trismegistus? Is not the air a body? It is a body. Why then this body does it not pass through all things that are, and passing through them fill them? And that body, does it not consist of mixture of four? Therefore, all those things which you called empty are full of air. Therefore, those things you call empty, rather they are hollow, not empty, for they exist and are full of air, and thus spirit. This reason is beyond all contradiction. Oh, Trismegistus, but what shall we call the place in which the whole universe is moved? Call it incorporeal, O Asclepius. What is its form, incorporeal or intangible? The mind and reason, the whole, wholly comprehending itself, free from all body, indivisible, invisible, impassible, from a body itself, standing fast in itself, capable of all things, and that savior of the things that are, whereof the good, the truth, the archetypical light, the archetype of the soul are, as it were, rays of light. Why then, what is God? That which is none of these things yet is, and is the cause of being to all, and every one of those things that are, for he left nothing destitute of being. And all things are made of things that are, and not of things that are not. For the things that are not have not the nature to be able to be made. And again, the things that are have not the nature never to be, or not to be at all. What would you say then, say at length that God is? God is not a mind, but the cause of the mind. Not a spirit, but the cause of the spirit. Not light, but the cause of the light. Therefore, we must worship God by these two appellations, which are proper to him alone and to no other. And thus he is, and nothing else, but all other things are separable from the nature of good. For the body and the soul have no place that is capable of or can contain the good. For the greatness of good is as great as existence of all things that are, both bodily and intangible, both sensible and intelligible. This is the good, even God. See, therefore, that you do not at any time call anything else good, for this is improper, or any else God, but only the good, for that is also improper. In word, it is often said by all men that good, but all men do not understand what it is. But through ignorance, they call both the gods and some men good, that can never be or be made so. Therefore, all the other gods are honored with the title or appellation of God, but God is the good, not according to heaven, but nature. For there is one nature of God, even the good, and one kind of them both, from whence all are kinds. For he that is good is the giver of all things, and takes nothing, and therefore God gives all things and receives nothing. The other title and appellation is the Father, because of his generative force, for it is part of the Father to make. Therefore, it has been the greatest and most religious care in this life to those who are wise and intelligent to beget children. As likewise, it is the great misfortune and piety for any to be separated from men without children, and this man is punished after death by the demons. And the punishment is this, to have the soul of his childless man adjudged and condemned to a body that neither has the nature of a man nor of a woman, which is a cursed thing under the sun. Therefore, O Asclepius, never congratulate any man that is childless, but on the contrary, pity his misfortune, knowing that punishment abides and is prepared for him. Let so many and such manner of things, O Asclepius, be said as certain precognition of all things in nature. Crazy. I don't know if I agree with that last part. I'm going to read one more section. It's the mind to Hermes. I had to pause because it's either shotguns, pistols, or fireworks. With what's going on in New York these days, we never know. But it was random. Big boom, 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 booms, noise, all kinds of stuff, but it was on and off. Although if you are going to light fireworks, I would like to see them. I enjoy them. The mind to Hermes. Remember your speech, O Hermes Trismegistus, and call to mind to those things that are said, but I will not delay to speak what comes into my mind, for many men have spoken many things, and those very different concerning the universe and good, but I have not learned the truth. Therefore, the Lord makes it plain to me in this point, for I will believe you only for the manifestation of these things. Then said the mind, how the case stands, God and all. God, eternity, the world, time, creation. God made eternity, the world, time, and time created. Of God, as it were, the substance is the good, the fair, the blessedness, wisdom. Of eternity, the identity of self. Of the world, order. Of time, the ability of change. Of creation, life and death. But the operation of God is mind and soul. Of eternity, permanence and immortality. Of the world, restitution and decay. Of time, increase and decrease. And of creation, qualities. Therefore, eternity is in God. The world is eternity. Time in the world, and creation in time. And eternity revolves around God. The world is moved in eternity. Time is determined in the world. Creation is done in time. Therefore, the spring and fountain of all things is God. The substance is from eternity. The matter is from the world. The power of God is eternity. And the work of eternity is the world not yet made, and yet continually made by eternity. Therefore shall nothing be at any time destroyed, for eternity is incorruptible. Neither can anything perish or be destroyed in the world, and the world being contained and embraced by eternity. But what is the wisdom of God, even the good and the fair, blessedness and every virtue and eternity? Eternity, therefore, put into the manner immortality and permanence for the generation of the depths upon eternity, even as eternity does of God. For the generation and time in heaven and in earth are of a double nature. In heaven they are unchangeable and incorruptible, but on earth they are changeable and corruptible. And the soul of eternity is God, and the soul of the world, eternity of the earth, heaven. God is in the mind in the soul in the matter, all things by eternity. All this universal body in which all bodies are contained is full of soul, the soul full of mind, the mind full of God. For within he fills them, and without he contains them, giving life to the universe. Without he gives life to this perfect living thing, the world, and within he creates all living creatures. And above in heaven he abides in identity, but below upon earth he changes creation. Eternity understands the world either by necessity or providence or nature. And if any man shall think any other thing, it is God that operates this whole. But the operation of God is power insuperable, to which none may conquer anything, either mundane or divine. Therefore, O Hermes, think none of these things below or the things above in any way is like unto God. For if you do, you err from the truth. For nothing can be like the unlike, and one, nor ought you to think that he has given of his power to any other thing. For who after him can make anything, either of life or immortality, or change of quality, and himself what other things should be made? For God is not idle, for then all things would be idle, for all things are full of God. But there is not anywhere in the world such a thing as idleness, for idleness is a name that implies a thing void or empty, both of a source of action and also action itself. But all things must necessarily be made or done, both always and according to the nature of every place. For he that makes or does is in all things, yet not fastened or comprehended in anything, nor making or doing one thing, but all things. For being an active or operating power insufficient of himself for the thing that are made, and the things that are made are under him. Look upon through me, the world is subject to your sight, and understand exactly the beauty thereof. A body perpetual, for which is nothing more ancient, yet always vigorous and young. See also the seven worlds set over us, adorned with an everlasting order and fulfilling eternity with a different course. For all things are full of light, but the fire is nowhere. For the friendship and opposition of dichotomies, and unlike becoming light shining from the operation of God, the Father of all good, the Prince of all order, and the ruler of the seven worlds. Look also upon the moon, the forerunner of them all, the instrument of nature, and which changes the matter here below. Behold the earth, the middle of the whole, the firm and stable foundation of the fair world, the feeder and nurse of earthly things. Consider moreover how great the multitude is of immortal living things and of mortal ones also, and see the moon going about in the midst of both, to wit, of things immortal and mortal. But all things are full of soul, and all things are properly moved by it. Some things about the heaven, and some things about the earth, and neither of those on the right hand to the left, nor those on the left hand to the right, nor those things that are above downward, nor those things that are below upwards. And that all things are made, O beloved Hermes, you need not learn of me, for they are bodies and have a soul and are moved, and that all these should come together into one. It is impossible without something to gather them together. Therefore, there must be some such ones, and he altogether one, God. For seeing that the motions are differentiated and plural, and the bodies not alike, and yet one ordered swiftness among them all, it is impossible there should be two or more makers. For one order is not kept by many, but in the weaker there would be jealousy of the stronger, and thence also contentions. And if they were one maker of mutable mortal living, weights, he would desire also to make immortal ones, as he that were the maker of immortal ones would do to make mortal. Moreover, also, if there were two, the matter of being one, who should be chief or have power over the course of events, or if both of them, which of them the greater part? But I think thus, that every living body has its consistence of matter and soul, and of that which is immortal, and that which is mortal and unreasonable. For all living bodies have a soul, and those things that are not living are only matter by itself. And the soul likewise of itself drawing near her maker is the cause of life and being the cause of life is after a manner that cause of immortal things. How then are mortal spirits different from the immortal? Or how cannot he make living spirits that cause immortal things and immortality? That there is some body that does these things, it is apparent, and that he is also one, it is most manifest. For there is one soul, one life, and one matter. Who is this? Who can it be, other than the one God? For who else can it benefit to make living things, save only God alone? There is therefore one God. For it is a ridiculous thing to confess the world to be one sun, one moon, one divinity, and yet to have, I know not how many gods. He therefore, being one, does all things in many things. And what great thing is it for God to make life and soul and immortality and change when you yourself do so many things? For you see, hear, smell, taste, and feel, move, understand, and breathe. And it is not one that sees and another that hears, and another that speaks, and another that feels, and another that smells, and another that walks, and another that understands, and another that breatheth, but one that does all these things. Yet neither can these things possibly be without God. For as you, if thou should cease from doing these things, were not a living spirit, so if God should cease from those, he would not any longer be God. For if it be already demonstrated that nothing can be idle or empty, how much more can be affirmed of God? For if there be anything which he does not do, then he would be imperfect. Whereas seeing he is not idle but perfect, certainly he does all things. Now give yourself unto me, O Hermes, for a little while. You will thus more easily understand that it is the necessary work of God that all things should be made or done that are done, or were once done or shall be done. And this, O best beloved, is life. And this is the fair, this is the good, and this is God. And if you will understand this by work also, mark what happens to yourself when you are created. And yet this is not like unto God, for he is not sensible of pleasure, for neither does he have any other fellow workman. But being himself the only workman, he is always in the work, himself being that which he creates. For all things, if they were separate from him, must inevitably fall and die, as they being no life in them. And again, if all things being living spirits, both which are in heaven and upon earth, and that they be one life in all things, which are made by God, and that is God, then certainly all things are made or done by God. Life is the union of mind and the soul, but death is not the destruction of those things that we gather together, but a dissolving of the union. The image, therefore, of God is eternity of eternity, the world of the world, the son of the son, man. But the people say that changing is death, because the body is dissolved and the life goes into that which is intangible. By this discourse, my dearest Hermes, I affirm, as you hear, that the world is changed, because every day part thereof becomes invisible, but that it is never dissolved. And these are the passions of the world, revolutions and occultation. And revolution is a turning, but occultation is renovation. And the world being all formed does not have forms lying without it, but itself changes in itself. Seeing then the world is all formed, what must he be that made it? For without form he cannot be. And if he be all formed, he will be kept like the world. But if he have but one form, he shall be in this regardless of the world. What do we then say that he is? We will not raise any doubts by our speech, for nothing that is doubtful concerning God is yet known. He has therefore one idea which is proper to him, which, because it is intangible, is not subject to the sight, and yet shows all forms by the bodies. And do not wonder if there be an incorruptible idea, for they are like the processions of speech, which is in writing, for they seem to be high and swelling, but they are by nature smooth and even. But understand well this, that I say more boldly, for it is more true. As man cannot live without life, so neither can God live not doing good. For this is, as it were, the life and motion of God, to move all things and give life to them. But some of the things I have said must have a particular explanation. Understand then what I say. All things are in God, not as lying in a place, for a place is both a body and unchanging, and those things that are placed have no motion. For they lie out otherwise in what is intangible, and that in the fantasy or in the appearance. Consider him that contains all things, and understand that nothing is more capricious than that which is incorporeal. Nothing more swift, nothing more powerful, but it is most capricious, most swift, and most strong. And judge this for yourself. Command your soul to go into India, and sooner than you command it, and it will be there. Bid it likewise pass over the ocean, and suddenly it will be there. Not passing from place to place, but suddenly it will be there. Command it to fly into heaven, and it will not need any wings, neither shall anything hinder it. Not the fire of the sun, not the ether, not the turning of the spheres, not the bodies of any stars, but cutting through all, it will fly up to the last and fullest body. And if you even wish to break the whole and see those things that are without the world, you are able to do so. Behold how great power, how great swiftness you have. Can you do all these things? And God cannot. After this manner, therefore, contemplate God to have all the whole world to himself, as it were all thoughts or intellects. It therefore, you don't equal yourself to God, you cannot understand God. For the like is intelligible by the like. Increase yourself unto an immeasurable greatness, leaping beyond every body and transcending all time. Become eternity, and you then understand God. If you believe in yourself, then nothing is impossible. But account yourself as immortal, and that you may understand all things, every art, every science, and matter of custom of every living thing. Become higher than all height, lower than all depths. Comprehend in yourself the qualities of all the creatures, of the fire, the water, the dry, the moist, and conceive likewise that you can at once be everywhere in the sea, in the earth. Then you will not at once understand yourself, not yet begotten in the womb, young, old, to be dead, the things after death, and all those together, as also times, places, deeds, qualities, quantities, or else you cannot yet understand God. But if you shut up your soul in the body and abuse it and say, I understand nothing, I can do nothing, I am afraid of the sea, I cannot climb up to heaven, I know not who I am, I cannot tell what I shall be. What have you to do with God? For you may understand none of these fair and good things, and still be a lover of the body and evil. For it is the greatest evil not to know God, but to be able to know and to will and to hope is the straight way and divine way, proper to the good, and it will everywhere be with you, and everywhere be seen of you, plain and easy. When you do not expect or look for it, it will meet you waking, sleeping, sailing, traveling by night, by day, when you speak and when you are silent. For there is nothing which is not the image of God. And yet you say God is invisible. But be advised, for who is more manifest than he? For therefore he made all things, that you by all things may see him. This is the good of God. This is the virtue, to appear and to be seen in all things. There is nothing invisible, not of those things that are incorporeal. The mind is seen in understanding, and God is seen in doing or making. Let these things thus be made manifest unto you, O Trismegistus. Understand in like manner all other things by yourself, and you may not be deceived. And there we end that section, and next time I will pick up on section 11. Sending each and every one of you love and light. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Father's Day. I hope you all start off your weeks wonderful. Thank you for hanging out with me. Please don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And if you have it within you to help me out and support my work, that'd be amazing. Thank you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.